Good evening, Texas. I'm Darren Hamilton, and I have a confession to make. For years, I've been told that Republicans and Democrats have absolutely nothing in common. Nada, zip, zilch, not a single shared belief. Apparently, half of the country wakes up every morning wanting freedom, prosperity, safe neighborhoods, affordable healthcare, good schools, economic opportunity, and a government that works. And the other half wakes up every morning twirling their mustaches while plotting the destruction of civilization. That's the theory, anyway. The problem is that every time I actually talk to people, that theory falls apart faster than campaign promise after Election Day. Because the Republicans that I talk to want really bizarre things like safer communities, affordable healthcare, good jobs, and government accountability. On the other hand, the Democrats that I talk to want even more bizarre things like safer communities, affordable healthcare, good jobs, and government accountability. At this point, the biggest disagreement in American politics isn't usually where we're trying to go. It's how we're going to get there and whether we trust the government to drive. And judging by Congress, that's a perfectly reasonable concern. Now, as a candidate for the Texas House, people ask me, Darren, which side of this issue are you on? And my answer disappoints everybody, every time. Because libertarians often agree with Republicans on the goals. We like economic opportunity. We like individual responsibility. We like constitutional limits. We like personal freedom. We just tend to get nervous when the proposed solution involves creating 3 new federal agencies and a commemorative task force. But libertarians also often agree with Democrats on the goals. We want people to thrive. We want equal treatment under the law. We want criminal justice reform, and we want civil liberties. We just tend to become suspicious when every solution somehow requires giving the government more power than it had when the problem started. As libertarians, our primary goal, just like it says in the name, is liberty for everyone. For us, liberty isn't a partisan value. It's an American value. Crazy concept, I know. I can already hear the old parties gathering firewood and sharpening pitchforks. Now, if you're new here, let me introduce myself. I'm Darren, and like I said before, I'm the Libertarian candidate for Texas House District 57. I'm a Desert Storm Marine and an adult diagnosed autistic, which means I possess 2 traits that make modern politics deeply confusing. First, I have an irrational tendency to take principles very seriously. That's the Marine part. Second, I have an even more irrational tendency to notice patterns. That's the autism part. The funny thing is that once you start noticing patterns, American politics begins looking less like a battle between good and evil, and more like 2 rival fast food chains blaming each other for their milkshake machine being responsible for the country's problems. Every election, we're told that the other side is the greatest threat to facing America. Then the election ends. But the fundraising emails continue, the consultants get richer, the lobbyists stay employed, the debt gets bigger, and somehow we're all expected to be surprised when the sequel comes out 2 years later. So this summer, I'm going to try something unusual. I'm going to talk about the things that Americans actually agree on. Not the slogans, not the outrage, not the social media food fights, the underlying goals. We'll talk about healthcare, housing, education, public safety, immigration, government reform, the economy, civil liberties, and a dozen other sacred cow issues that somehow become impossible to discuss the moment any paid political consultant enters the room. Because here's the secret that nobody profits from. Most Americans are not extremists. Most Americans are just exhausted. Most Americans aren't looking for enemies, they're looking for solutions. And if liberty means anything, it means trusting a free people to have those conversations without being sorted into red teams and blue teams like we're participating in the world's angriest kindergarten soccer league. So for the remaining 14 episodes, I'm going to ask a very simple question. What if Americans agree on the destination more often than we think? And what if the real argument is just how to get there? Okay, so that's 2 questions. But if that's true, then maybe the biggest problem we have isn't each other. Maybe it's the political system that makes money every time we forget it. Welcome to what we have in common. 15 deep dives and 1 dangerous idea. That liberty might still work.